Max KB Strength Camp, which stands for Maximum Kettlebell Strength Camp. This is all about improving your maximum strength, your 1 rep max. So your 1 RM is the 1 rep maximum that you can do for any given exercise. So we got a set of exercises that we're gonna work on in this camp. So day 1 is setting your benchmark, testing your 1 RM, your 1 rep max. What can you do maximum with the heaviest weight that you have for 1 rep max? So it means that you have to put everything in that you have on that 1 rep to make it so damn good. Good form and technique, and make sure that you meet the standards which are the requirements for any of the exercises. So for example, with the 1 arm swing, it will be chest height, all the way back, all the way up, just once, standing tall, everything locked out, and shoulders back. That is the requirement for the single arm swing. Double arm swing, same thing. Then your snatch. The requirement, 1 explosive, fast, uninterrupted movement from between the legs to overhead. Pause for a split second, then drop, back swing, back to dead. Requirement for the hardstyle snatch. Then the bench press. The bench press coming all the way under, and the arm is straight and you're not pushing the weight away. So you're pushing yourself away from the weight. Then you stand up and you fixate for a split second, which means the bell's not moving, then into racking. That is the requirement for the bench press. The strict press, the requirement is nothing moves, everything is straight. Your hips are locked, your knees are locked, your ankles are not bending, your spine is not bending, your shoulders are down. The only thing that moves is your elbow and your shoulder. Elbow under the weight, overhead, pause for a split second, show control, and down into racking. That's the requirement for the strict press. The push press, good rack. You can do a hardstyle rack, or you can employ a Jerboy sport rack. That's fine too. So this is harder, this is easier. You decide. Good rack, then knees forward and back, drive the weight up, lock out overheads, fixate for a split second, pull down. That's the requirement for the push press. Heels need to remain on the ground. Then the jerk, same thing with the racking. You can do a hardstyle rack or a sport style rack, you decide. Then it's the same thing as the push press, knees forward and back. Now the heels can leave the ground if you want to. So drive the weight up, then come under the weight. Push yourself under the weight, arm needs to be straight before you get up. So before I stand up, that arm needs to be straight. You're pushing yourself under the weight. Stand up, fixate for a split second, pull down. That's the requirement for the jerk. For the squat, you can do single kettlebell squat, double kettlebell. For most people, it will probably be double kettlebell because our legs are very strong. The requirement is a clean, good rack, elbows under the weight, then the hips lead, heels remain on the ground, feet flat, knees out. The shoulders remain high, no bend in the back. All the way down, past the knees, so below parallel. Then up, the first thing that comes up is the shoulders. Fully straight, standing up, and then bring the belts down, controlled. That's the requirement for the racked squat. The Turkish get up. You need to be flat on the ground with your shoulder blades, press the weight up. You can do that with assistance, that's not a problem. The elbow needs to be locked out and remain locked out the whole time. So from up, down to the ground, it should have remained straight. Then shoulder roll, elbow, hand, all this is a requirement. We want to see all that. Then hips up, we want to see a hip up, a bridge, a good bridge. Then pull the leg under all the way up till you're standing up, fixate for a split second, no movement. Elbow still locked out, then down to the ground, and you cannot plonk down to the ground. You need to go controlled to the ground, just like you came up. That's the requirement for the Turkish get up. The requirement for the bent over row is that it's a row. So this is curling, the elbow needs to come back, and the forearm needs to be close to vertical. And the elbow needs to go past your torso here, up, right here. Hanging is the start. Up, down, no rotation of the spine, no movement of the spine, strict row. So the idea for the programming is, let's take the strict press as an example. Day 1, you set your strict press 1 RM. You test it. Let's say it's 32. Then day 2, you rest. You don't work your shoulders, you don't work your core. Day 3, you might even rest. Then you attempt the strict press again, 1 RM. It's just 1 rep that you're doing. You don't do more reps. You rest. You do your other side. Now, if you attempt the 1 RM again, those 2 or 3 days later, and you fail miserably, then either you haven't rested, you've done other things, or you needed more rest. So make a note of that. So it's not 2 days, it's not 3 days, it's 4 days or 5 days. So how close were you? Were you really far off? Then maybe you needed 2 more days. This is what you need to keep track of. So that is your interval. So let's say it did work 3 days later. Maybe you could have even done 2 days. So that will become your testing right there, your testing phase, to see how many days rest you needed to do your 1 RM again. And then you reduce that over time. So that's your goal, to reduce the resting time in between and being able to do that 1 RM more frequently, but only just 1 rep. So one more time, day 1, I did the strict press, 1 RM. I got that 32 kilos up and it was perfect. That is my 1 RM that I'm working with. Then I felt like I had to give it 2 days of rest. You do it again after 2 days. If everything was easy, then attempt to do it every day. If that didn't work, maybe you needed more rest. So instead of 2 days, you needed 3 days of rest. If you felt miserably, then maybe you needed 5 days. This is very important to keep track of that. Now, know that with the strict press, it's not just your shoulders. There's a lot of core work involved. So if you start doing other work, other workouts where your core is involved, you might not be able to do the strict press again. So it's important that you program correctly. You either committed to improving your 1 RM or you start doing a lot of other stuff, but then you might not make it with your 1 RM improvement. Now, as you repeat your 1 RM and you're reducing that resting time and you're increasing the frequency that you're repeating your 1 RM, then it's time to up your weight. Now, 2 kilo increments, which is about 4.5 pounds if I'm correct when we convert it, is the best for testing your next 1 RM, so beating your personal best. If you have only 4 kilo increments, which I think is 8.8 pounds, that's a lot of weight that you're going to your next weight. So maybe you need 6 weeks instead of 4 weeks to get to that. And you really need to adjust your programming and really pay focus to the body parts that you're using with other workouts. So like I said, with the strict press, it's shoulders, it's your triceps, it's everything around your scapula, it's everything in your core here, especially your obliques and the QL, it's even your glutes. So you need to keep these things in mind because these muscles need to be fresh to retest your 1 RM. And they need to be fresh, especially when you are retesting. Okay, so let's say you're 2 weeks in and you are at a frequency of every day being able to press once. Then it's time to see if you can press 2 times. So let's see if you can press what used to be your 1 RM, if you can now press it 2 times. That's where we want to get to, pressing it 2 times. Then a week later, see if you can press it 3 times. And maybe all of this needs to be adjusted because it really depends on how you're getting there and whether you're doing 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So maybe it has to be where you're only doing your 1 RM every day and then all of a sudden you retest your 1 RM. So there are several strategies and it depends on you. It also depends on what weight you have available. So let me say again, one of the strategies is where you just stick to doing your 1 RM and try and get it done every day. So your body has improved and it didn't need those 2 days rest anymore to do your 1 RM. That's what I'm saying. So you went from going 1 RM, 2 days rest, 1 RM, 2 days rest to 1 RM every day. Okay, so that's where you improve. So that's one strategy where you do it every day. Then there's a strategy of where you do it for 2 weeks. And then you go to 2 reps of your 1 RM. Then you retest your 1 RM at the end of 4 weeks or 6 weeks. If you're doing 6 weeks, then maybe you can even get all the way to 3 reps of your 1 RM. But before you retest your 1RM, make sure that you give it a few days rest. So let's say you're on 32, but you know you got that 4 kilo difference that you need to get to, which is 36. You need more rest before you attempt that. Give it 2 or 3 days and just work on your body. Work on mobility. Keep moving, keep moving all those joints, but do not overload your muscles before you retest your 1RM. Now, if you're doing other exercises and you aim to improve your 1RM there as well, you need to keep in mind what I said about the same muscles being used with other exercises. For example, the Turkish get-up uses the core. The strict press uses the core. The push press uses the core. A squat really taxes the core. So if you just take the strict press and the squat, you need to program all of that really intelligently, because that squat is going to tax your core and everything around the lower back as well. Even your lower back is involved in the 1RM strict press. So once again, the summary of what you're doing. You got 2 tasks. One is to improve your 1RM, your 1 rep max, so getting stronger with your maximum strength. Other one is to learn a new exercise, an exercise that you haven't done before. So make sure that you look at the book or look at the group and interact with other people and ask for information from our YouTube channel or our website to get some idea of what is a cool exercise to learn. Then, at the beginning of your camp, so you either know your 1RM already or you need to test it. Either way, at the first day, you test your 1RM. Write it down. That's what you're working with. That's the weight. Remember, your 1RM is also different across exercises. For example, I can snatch more than I can strict press. So make sure that you keep that in mind, because whatever you snatch is not your 1RM for your strict press, and it's not your 1RM for your squat, because you can probably squat more than you can snatch. Then choose wisely with the exercises. Either stick to 1 exercise or 2 exercises, or if you're really conditioned, pick 3. But make sure that you program everything wisely, and then maybe do 1 exercise one day and then the other day, or do 1 exercise in the morning and the other at night. Make sure that you ask if you're not sure for strategies. The things that are going to improve your pressing ability or whatever exercise you're doing is your form and technique. That's key number 1. So without actually showing up and posting, there's nobody that can help you. You're on your own. Now, if you want to be on your own, that's fine. You do have a mirror and you can use that. But you might not be as knowledgeable on what correct form and technique is. And again, I repeat, do not worry about what your 1RM is, no matter what it is, even if it's 6 kilos or 8 kilos, because you're here for yourself. You're not here to impress other people. You're not here to impress me. You're not here to impress other people or do what they can do. You're here to better and improve yourself. So keep that in mind and interact. Make sure that you show up. And remember, you need to be fresh for your 1RM testing. So if you don't know where you're at all, you need to guess correctly or closely, because if you're having to redo that exercise with different weights, so let's say that you think your 1RM is 24 and you do a 24, but that wasn't it. You know, you could do way more than that 24. Well, you lost energy on that 24. And then you go for a 28. And then it's like, okay, well, I still could have gone higher. You're losing energy on that 28 again, and whatever you're doing now and reach as your 1RM might not be your true potential. So make sure that you're fresh and you pick wisely. Maybe if you messed up on day 1, you need to wait till the evening or the next day to retest again. Super important. And remember, it's about 1 rep max. So that means that you put everything in on that 1 rep. It needs to be such an effort that you can't do it for a second time. That's your 1RM.